Welcome back. This, of course, is the Newspaper Review. This is K24 this morning. A really heated debate. I always say, I don't think even you should take commercial breaks. They should just let the cameras roll because it doesn't stop. It just continues even when we're off air. I'll bring in Senator Kang'ata on this as we talk about the police and at times what is perceived as the excesses they have. Your client was doing an interview talking about how he was put in a Subaru, wasn't told where he was going. It went in different directions. It turned. You were there trying to figure out what was going on. So you have witnessed this firsthand with your client.
Yes, indeed. For me, it was quite unfair. They mistreated my friend Dede Nyoro by virtue that, one, my friend did not hide from anyone. He conducted his business in public on Monday, so he did not resist any arrest. Upon being arrested, they took him inside, and then thereafter, after some chaos happened in Murang'a town, they decided to take him to Kamukunji police station. We all know Kamukunji is the worst police station in Kenya. I think there are some people who are usually planted in that police station to beat up some people. So it was a deliberate scheme to take him inside there. He suffers and he's a young man. So as they were taking him to Kamukunji, I maneuvered. I used my connections and also my powers to talk to and luckily we were able to have him freed on bond initially. He was told to come back to court that morning of Tuesday, but before that again we made some other interventions and the charges were dropped.
And for the people who might not have a powerful friend with prowess like Senator who will be by their side as this happens, where do they go to? Because for you at least, Dindi knew he can call Senator Kang'ata, he will know how to work this out. Because you're looking at a situation where, and again we're bringing in the who should have been sorting this all out, IPOA, almost faith being lost into their success rate right now. Thousands of cases brought to them, they haven't successfully prosecuted, I think less than 10. Where do we go as an ordinary Kenyan who doesn't have someone who can make that call that's needed to be made?
Well, it's quite unfair. I think we need to continuously reform our institutions. The 2010 Constitution did establish various mechanisms to check police brutality and abuse. It established a standalone police commission. It established the so-called IPOA. And for me, I think those are enough agencies to ensure that we do not have violation of human rights. And also remember, we do have Kenya National Human Rights Commission, which is a government-funded entity whose role is to ensure human rights are protected in this country. So for me, it is an issue of implementation. It's an issue of having commissioners who are more proactive to ensure we do not have torture, to ensure people are not harassed by virtue of they have been taken into custody. Okay.
We'll move on from that story to the front page of the Standard.
No, Jeff.
You have one thing you want to add there?
Yeah, more than one. You know, there are issues here. You cannot gloss over the story without talking about the character of our leaders. True. This thing has two sides to it. You have an MP whom we are now castigating the police for very right reasons for chasing him around the country. It's wrong. We passed that. I had said that earlier. I remember when Kibaki was the president, we had rogue minister for internal security in the name of Murungaru. He really mistreated us. And that found a way when now the Constitution, it informed the politicians misusing police. You remember this Nyoro thing? Nyoro is the one who has even written an article saying how democracy is a bad thing and that the president should introduce a police state and that the police are right to kill people in Kisumu and do all that. I read that article and say, what is wrong with this young man? What is his thinking? Chicken has come home to roost. But we must stop politicians from using police to play politics. Because this is the gist of the crux of the matter. When you go to, when the commander team goes to a church in Murang'a, and the Ruto team, this Tanga Tanga, which is Kinahangata.
No, we are not.
At least I've given the opportunity to run away from it.
No. Stop. No.
Okay.
Stop.
The Nyoro team. Remember, I said I'm independent, so I can criticize both sides and still go home. Let me tell you, that can be a cordial interaction. It can be cordial. It cannot be that you live in a country where 2 years after election, the deputy president goes to Turkana, a chief can't go there, police cannot go there, ordered by a politician, and by a civil servant, who are his employees. You can't do that. The way it has cut both ways for Nyoro, it will cut both ways for these other people.
Okay, Honorable.
Can I interject? Because first, he appears to be defaming my friend.
No,
no, it is true. One, the Nyoro did not advocate for dictatorship per se. He was talking about what we call benevolence dictatorship, like the one in China, like the one in Rwanda. And the one in China, to the best of my knowledge, it does not oppress people with a whim. I think they have a lot of civility.
That point of
Number two,
there?
No, it's important. Number two, I also want to say, me, I'm non-aligned. I don't belong to any.
We have heard that, and it has been considered clearly. We'll move on to the Standard's front page. This talking about 25,000 public servants risking the sack in jobs crisis. To cut high number of unemployed youth, Tarehe MP Charles Njagwa files motion to reduce retirement age to 50 from 60. Now, this is a story that's found on page 6 of your Standard. And in there, they're talking about the fact that there are very many youth who are looking for jobs, but you look at how the distribution of civil servants by age cluster, this is from the December 2016 payroll, and you're looking at around 35% above the age of 50. That's the highest percentage when you look at it, because 19 to 35, they're 19%, 36 to 40, 13%, 41 to 45 are at 14%, 46 to 50, 16.9%, 51 to 55, 17%, and 56 to 60, 17.3%. Pretty radical proposal, this one, but is it the way to go to create space for this new youth to get in there, vibrant and with energy, to go out there and serve this country?
Jeff, you know one thing people keep forgetting, that the government can only absorb a very limited piece of, if I may call it that, of the population. And so what is actually needed more is to have what, the president called for. When you have created a conducive environment for people to be able to think outside the box, for the youth of this country to get many opportunities, all right, then that to me makes it a better case than just pointing our eyes at civil civil service. Justifiably so. Of course, this makes, the cluster that you've just read, well, it makes a point. And I would have expected this age from, 1935, around the bracket of, number 4, 46 to 50. I'd have expected that to hold higher numbers. But that notwithstanding, we need to continue revolutionizing this thinking that it is service delivery, not just getting a job. All right, anybody can get a job, but then what value do you bring with it? Right. Just the other day we were talking to a youth forum, and I found myself telling the members of that forum who are there, I said, when many other countries are looking for solutions, ours we are running to get a job, and it's not bad getting a job, but when you get a job, what do you do with it? Are you employable enough? The employability factor means that, Jeff, you're able to wake up early in the morning and come to work and add value. Not getting a job, reporting to work at midday and leaving 3 hours later. All right? So there's that connotation that we must keep pushing. The value you add when you're employed. By the way, you can be 19 years or 20 years, but you're not able to bring in the required value. So apart from just having the job, it is a good radical thing should it go through. But then again, we must keep insisting, what do you bring to the table? And I think the youth of this country, they are getting there. Of course, they are getting there. But more needs to be done.
Senator
and the
Kangata.
more that I'm talking about needs to be done, this is in form of training and personal gratification, which is a little bit delayed, to realize that we must continue adding value wherever we are, not only in the civil service.
Okay, Senator Kangata, I'll bring you in on this as well, because with the Jubilee Party manifesto, they talk about how, of course, they'll increase employment, have more people go into TVET in order to, create those opportunities for them as well. This particular proposal that Honorable Njagwa is bringing to the House, is it a drop in the bucket of the ocean in terms of the wider government? Have they delivered on some of these promises in terms of creating these opportunities for the youth, so we don't all have to look at the 25,000 jobs?
The motivation by Jaguar is quite good and quite commendable, but the proposal is not well thought out. Because number one, he needs to understand that the reason why that age retirement was increased to 60 from 55, it was an issue of what we call the pensions burden. Meaning, once you bring it down to 50, you will have a huge number of Kenyans who will be going to pension, and we will have what we call a pension burden. The problem with pension is that people are being paid whereas they are not actually working, they are not contributing to the economy.
Exactly.
So therefore, at that time, Kibaki was in a fix, because now he was having so many people going into retirement, because what we call life expectancy had jumped. This is a complex economic analysis that is done. When life expectancy goes up, it means people will stay longer in this world. Once they do that, then if they retire early, then we shall be continue to pay for them, whereas they are not actually contributing to the economy. So you had no other option than to push it a little bit high to address that lacuna. And then again, and once that happens, and once his view goes through, then you shall have what we call a wage burden, where almost 90% of our resources are going to pay people working, as opposed to that money going to what we call capital expenditure. So for me, I wish he can get an economist who would advise him the negative consequences of this proposal. The best case scenario to create employment for young people is, number one, create what we call a flexible labor market. A flexible labor market means where joining and getting out of labor work is easy, as opposed to the current situation where it's quite complex. There are a lot of bottlenecks. Number two, ensure government is more creating enabling environment out there in the private sector as opposed to internally. Why? We have only 700,000 public employees vis-a-vis 23 million Kenyans, adults who should be working out there. So for us, we should be thinking of how to create conducive environment for these 22.3 million Kenyans, as opposed to thinking that we should enter in the so-called 700,000 bracket.
Okay.
So for me, the best case scenario would be, number one, how do we make the so-called informal sector more formal, which is out there? How do we ensure, for instance, we have fewer taxes, we have more deregulated economy? Ours is a highly regulated economy, so that you make the private sector more agile, more effective and efficient, as opposed to thinking that all of us can enter government.
Honorable Idiwo, I'll bring you in on this, because you also pointed out that luckily you had also lived abroad for quite a while. You've seen how systems work there. And of course, you say it was the United States of America you are, I believe.
Sure.
What are some of these best practices then that we should be looking at and bringing them back here and see how we can implement that?
Actually, likely in the line the senator has spoken, I think Jaguar is talking out of frustration. When he talks about foreigners taking jobs in Kikomba, you arrest him. Trump is chasing away foreigners. So we are not loving ourselves. So what he's doing is talking out of frustration by making a very bad proposal. Actually, an unworkable proposal, and he has explained, I don't need to go back there.
Right.
That we need to work with private sector, the first thing, where people pay VAT, corporate tax, city council is there, everything. I have somebody, an employer, friend of mine in CBD the other day. He spent the whole weekend in prison because Sonko's people arrested him because he didn't paint his place. instead of working with him as an employer, say, but paint this place, make tax payment and all those things enjoyable and agreeable. You don't have to throw people in prison because they haven't paid you. Take, for example, Jeff, the case of Humphrey Kariuki and Tabitha Karanja, Keroche and this other one in Thika. You know, this Kariuki thing is a major employer in Thika. KRA, in reverse, is behaving like police. Did you know that at Karanja's place there's a KRA desk? You're charging Kariuki or Karanja without charging your KRA people.
And that was the question that was brought up as to who should have been answerable.
Who should have been answerable? Because they are supposed to work with you to make sure as an employer. I was a member of Finance Committee in Parliament. When breweries and Keroche were fighting, we worked with them. We worked with them. I personally and our committee, we went to Keroche. That is a major investment. You don't go closing and arresting local investors. You know, something is amiss, and we can definitely do better. You know, if you come to VAT, the president, Nana of Ghana, just a few months ago, zero-rated VAT on everything. Every day now, if you watch CNN, the fastest growing economy on earth is Ghana. Zambia is copying Ghana. They are not even making policies. They're just saying what Ghana is doing, we are doing. Ghana has joined, Zambia has joined as the second fastest growing economy. Why is it so hard to copy good things? You know, when you want to talk about employment, this Jaguar young man, I have no problem with. I think he's trying. But if you go to Kisumu 2 months ago, out of nowhere, without involving local leaders and intimidation, these people take tinga-tingas, they are demolishing. Kisumu is a ghost town today. And within a week, Anyang' Nyong'o put 13,000 people out of work. So you ask yourself, what is the role of government? You know that mama who fries fish there? In the heart of Kisumu, there's a place called Sports Ground. Why didn't you just take county government funds, go make for them kiosk, keep collecting taxes, and even lower the taxes for them? And you tell Mama Atieno, go there, this is yours, you will pay rent 10,000, pay service fee 1,000, you keep employment. And what happened to, for example, if you went to an industry which is feeling smothered by city councillors, carries and all these things, and told them, for every young man you employ, we give you 10% tax credit. Where is the thinking of the government?
Okay. So it's indeed about...
Can I commend him?
No, he's a real...
That is something that's very personal to Honorable Mido as well, because his business was also demolished, that demolition as well. So it really touches his heart.
That's the conducive environment that I'm talking about. When I say about a conducive environment, it's not just there's no peace in town and people are rioting and people are throwing rocks. That's not it. It is you trying to understand. And this, by the way, this is where you build the economy. Small businesses. This is where you come in and give tax cuts. And you know what? If you employ between this age, I know there was a time, but this was in the US, where if you employ people right from school, you get a tax cut. People out of college.
So we need to look into such incentives.
Because it is telling you the incentives that you provide, on-job training, what have you, you are giving this person experience. And by so doing, because they know you'll have teething problems of training these people, you're going to inject money, you're going to take them to fairs, you're going to take them to more training, on-job training, you're going to take them to seminars. You get a tax bracket, a tax rebate. And by so doing, you find so many people starting small businesses willing to take fresh college graduates. That is the conducive environment that I'm talking about. You see, like what the government has started with the Ajira program. That is a masterstroke. That is a masterstroke. That requires a lot of commendation. If the government was able to continue talking with the private sector, if you are able to take this demography, then we are going to look into it. That's why I was so quite concerned about what was happening at Keroche. You know, I would have liked, there was a better way to go about it.
Right.
There was a better way to go about it. The issue about tax, if somebody has been, that's something that the government can take care of. Have a sit down, say, this is what you owe the government. Can we come to an agreement of how you're going to pay? And this happens everywhere in great economies.
Can I mention about Keroche? Government should either in direct manner or in a subtle way be assisting Keroche to beat Kenya Breweries.
No, it's a fact.
It's true. One way, number one. Look here.
I get it. True. Look here. Are a local investor.
No, they are locals. Number two, for instance, they should be going to Uganda or even Tanzania, and somehow the government, they create what we call synergies with Uganda and Tanzania. So that Keroche is not only selling alcohol in Kenya, but in Tanzania, in the regional market. In fact, by then, let me tell you what happens. When Obama used to come to Kenya, the people used to accompany him. They tended to be top business people in America. So Keroche should be accompanying the president of Kenya. Whenever we hear he is in Tanzania, Keroche should be there.
One advice to the government, because we don't always have to compete government. Take, for example, SGR. This country has some of the best engineering brains. You have built SGR from Mombasa to Naivasha with Chinese engineers. It means when they leave, there's no transfer of experience and knowledge. Can government, even in these things they are giving foreigners, put it as a condition that the local content is higher? Because, for example, laying this chuma of SGR, does it really require somebody to come from China?
What if it was the conditions of the financing that, and that usually what happens?
No, the condition, but what I'm saying, that is what I'm saying.
We bring this as well.
No, we cannot be an employment tough for other countries. We need, and that is why this young man is frustrated, because the East African protocol, trade protocol conditions, only talks about taxes. It allows even people to come, but if you go to Tanzania, they can't allow you to work. And here you have a Tanzanian selling, and somebody chases an MP for raising it. Who do you want to talk for the unemployed person in Kamkunji?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Senator, we'll have to move on because of that. I'm sorry, you have to move on now to the Star. I'm sorry, Senator, we move on to the Star. Front page of the Star, because of time, we have 5 minutes to go. Raila plans to overhaul ODM ahead of 2022. The changes include buying a new headquarters and part of the rebranding strategy recommended by an internal task force. Opposition party wants to recruit new members next year. Now I'll start with you, Senator, because from where you're sitting, does this feel like Jubilee has been calling for parliamentary group meeting for quite a while to align on various issues that have caused quite the divide and chart the way forward? When you see such plans happening across the political aisle, do you think it's time now to re-strategize and sit down as a group?
For me, I think the best person to answer that will be...
He says he's independent.
No, it is true.
He shoots from the people, left, right, center.
Luminary for long. Whether I think...
But if any
How can I answer? Yeah.
You know these guys? I was with him in another show another time, where that time I think he was still Tanga. Today, he has come out and said, no, he's not. But I can understand. It again goes to political party scare tactics on elected leaders. If you go to where he comes from, in that team, they don't even have askaris anymore. So he is good. It's wise to do that. It's wise to do that. But now let me say, but you handed it over.
You handed it over, Senator. Let him finish. Let him finish. You had your turn and you've passed it on.
Kenyans now understand it. Political parties always re-strategize. Our political system is not neat. And I commend Raila for trying to fix his party, because his party is performing dismally. I think that's what people do when they fail. When you are at 44% before in 2017, now you are at 20%, you must do what he's doing, and I think that is commendable. That's what trailblazers do.
Okay.
Now, how do we want to move forward in our country? I personally think, in order to make political parties attractive, so we don't have rogue members of political party, and they don't come briefcase for corruption, because I think there is more corruption in political parties than there is in the national government. I think we need to really think, as we yap about constitutional reforms, which way to do electioneering.
Within the parties?
We have said Kenya is a multi-party state, so the parties must exist. But the law must force the parties to be good examples for our future. Because as it were, of course, there was NASA, and I said 2 years ago, NASA was dead as a dodo. There was Jubilee. There is no more Jubilee, except the other one is the other way, the one for William and the one for Uhuru. They don't even meet. The worst part, that the product you get is a parliament without ideas. Okay. Parliament without discipline, because there is no political parties.
And have you heard, is this the shot in the arm that's needed for ODM, Mr. Muthuma, in terms of moving forward? It's strategizing, and as he said, we have seen their popularity wane. Is this what they need to get back up?
Several months ago, if it has not escaped the public, ODM, I think, were awarded about 4.1 billion by the Court of Appeal. And, you know, I remember Wiper and ANC came out with guns blazing, wanting the piece of that kind of cash. But, you know, ODM said, we don't know anybody anything. that notwithstanding, I think that's good money to actually rejuvenate. Right. It's very good money to actually, again, put a lot of vigor within the party. ODM, as a matter of fact, is really strategizing, and they've realized for them to be taken seriously, they must come as a new outfit. What do they say? You know, fresh wine in whatever, new skin or whatever they want to do. What I think is critical at this point is for them to have, like what Honorable has said, the internal democracy and the mechanisms. I was so glad when I saw what happened in Kibra, you know, how they went about doing their nomination process. Actually, I can, without probably, and I know he has been in that party, and probably he can tell us, this is the first time I was seeing an ODM nomination that did not have fracas and violence and what have you, which is a good sign. Because that just tells you there is something positive happening within our political parties. And so I would hope it translates into other parties, whether it's Jubilee or Wiper or whatever have you. But the strategy or re-strategizing of ODM, obvious, comes at the wake of 2022. It just shows you that ODM are planning big for 2022. And they are actually justified to do that. I think 2022, the stakes are going to be high, so why not start early?
I'll come back to you. As you've heard, this is definitely for 2022. I asked you the first time as a member of Jubilee, still waiting for the parliamentary group meeting that has been asked for quite a while. Any need for concern when you see this happening? Do you feel confident this time round as the party stands? With that big division, we've had Kiweleweke, Tanga, they're neutral members like you. If 2022 came with the state of affairs as is Jubilee in good stead to go to the polls?
And let me first explain why I do not belong to any side. The reason is I'm not a believer of political factionalism. I am more oriented into political unity, harmony, and peace. And therefore, when I hear people trying to say we are Kieleweke, we are Tanga, that is not me. Me, I'm more into peace and love and bringing people together.
And as the party as a whole, so, stand this
well, as to whether it will
ODM,
stand,
so to speak.
As whether it will stand, for me, I trust that the president is going to give us political direction. And for me, once that happens, that's positive for me. Okay,
fine. We leave it at that. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for waking up this early. For those who were here very many years ago and across the road, welcome back. Gabriel Muthuma, political and governance expert, thank you so much for making time. Yes. Honorable Jacob Midiwo, thank you so much. This will be one of many more, now that you've come to our new home.
You must remember I'm retired. So you can't wake me up so often.
Okay, as he enjoys his
But I am happy. You know, when I was told I'm coming to meet Muthuma, I haven't seen him in so long, or even, so I was thinking, nowadays there's too many analysts. So I was saying, now you go to some of those shows when I say it. So when I saw him, I was very
Senator Muranga, of course, Kangata Irungu, thank you so much for making time. This has been a Newspaper Review this morning. Quite a heated debate, as always. And we love your feedback on the same as well, so keep it coming in at K24 TV. You can also SMS us, or feel to call in as well. As you can see, they're waking up early, even from retirement, to be here. So your say is very important. We'll take a short break. We're back with Interactive right here. This is K24 This Morning.